Welcome to Coffee with Democrats, a sensible platform for progressive conversations. Coffee with Democrats is a grassroots movement dedicated to hearing from Democrats, candidates, legislators, and friends from all political backgrounds who want great conversations. Coffee with Democrats is committed to increase Democrat voter registration and Democrat voter turnout by making voting more exciting and meaningful. And now here's your host of Coffee with Democrats, Kevin Dawson.
Well, good morning. Good morning. This is Kevin Dawson, and I'm with Coffee with Democrats. And with me today, we have my co-host, Scott Hamilton. And
good morning, everyone.
We also have a special guest with us today, Erin Brewer. Erin Brewer is running for Senate District 47.
That's right, 47.
In Oklahoma City. And we are so excited to have Erin with us. And we're going to talk a lot about Erin and get to know her very well and what her platforms are. But before we do that, we've got some housekeeping to do. So everybody who's listening to this is an important message for everybody who is listening. Please share this conversation on your social media and let's spread the word, spread the good word about the works that Erin is planning on doing for us as we the people of Oklahoma. So be sure and get that out, share and share and share. We are going to have this live on Twitter Live, Facebook Live, and YouTube Live. Our YouTube Live account is at coffeewithdem7998. Again, YouTube Live is at Coffee with Democrats. It's all spelled out one word, 7998. We are on Facebook Live. That's just Coffee with Democrats. And then on Twitter Live or X, we are at Coffee with Dems. They cheated us out of the Ocrats. They wouldn't let us put that in there. So we are just Coffee with Dems. So being on Coffee with Democrats today with us, Erin Brewer, talk to us a little bit. We got to talk about coffee. I mean, the most important thing that we're going to talk about first thing in the morning is coffee and our coffee substitute. So what is your favorite coffee or coffee substitute?
Well, this might be a sacrilege on this program, but I drink decaf. Every day I have my 1 cup and it is decaf and it is doctored with cream and sugar.
I don't know if you can see this, the
there
computer,
it is.
Orange juice today. So
Erin, I have to ask you this question. Do you always match your decaf coffee cup with your shirt?
I mean, I try. I mean, that's beautiful, right? I'm telling you, I'm committed to the blue. My whole house is blue. Like, I'm committed. I'm all in.
I love that.
So I got to talk a little bit about my coffee. I really enjoy McCafe, McDonald's coffee. And that comes from years and years. I worked 24/7, or I was on call 24/7, 365 with my previous job. And those long, 24-hour shifts that I was on, it just became something that I had to do. I had to have coffee to get through them, but I always hated the taste of coffee. But McCafe, no matter where I go, it was always there. And I doctor it up with a lot of cream and sugar. And I only have about 1 or 2 of those a day. And then I break off into something like this little in it. But I'm staying true to my cafe. I've got my McCafe cup right there. So
Golden arches. That's right.
That's right. And I'm not a sponsor and I don't endorse them, but it's something that I can't get away from. So
but they can definitely endorse this program, Kevin.
That's right. We would encourage that. So anybody who is with McDonald's, if they want to endorse us, please send them our way. We would be more than happy to work with them. So I'm going to talk just a little bit. I'm going to kind of give a little background about Erin. I'm going to save your voice, Erin, because you're going to be talking a lot here in just a little bit. So here is a quote from Erin that I want everybody to listen to and really pay attention to. Typical politicians haven't gotten us where we need to be. I know our community deserves a different type of leader. I'm ready to do what's best for public schools, families, and our economy. What an outstanding quote by Erin, and we appreciate that. Erin is a fifth generation Oklahoman. Mm-hmm. She's a longtime resident of the district. Erin brings an experience across nonprofit, education, and small business sectors. After a decade of nonprofit work, including several years at United Way of Central Oklahoma, Erin and her husband opened Red Pin Bowling Lounge in Bricktown. She works as a general manager and is actively recruiting men and women who are transitioning out of the criminal justice system as employees. How outstanding. That is again a niche that has to be filled.
Yeah, it was a huge privilege to employ those folks.
So we are going to really start. Now's the time for Erin to start talking. We're gonna. You already got your back up against the wall. We're not going to pin you there, but we are going to have you really start talking about you yourself. Let's first talk about Erin and get into more detail about the biography of Erin. Where did you grow up? How did you get to Oklahoma City? Your bio that we've read so far kind of gives us that clue, but we want to hear it from you.
Okay. Well, I actually got to Oklahoma City as a baby because my dad went to work for Governor Boren on his staff at the state capitol. And my parents, I don't think, intended to stay in Oklahoma City. They'd been in Cushing and they grew up in Ponca City. But here we are. In fact, they live here in my neighborhood in this Senate District 47 today. So my dad made sure as a kid that my sister and I understood that the state capitol was the people's house.
Right.
And that we knew our way around it, and that we knew that the citizens were expected to show up there and to share their concerns and their hopes. I went all the way through Putnam City Schools, graduated from PC West in 1994. I got a master's at OU, and then I did spend the first part of my career, 10 years or more, in nonprofits. So service has always been something that has seemed important to me, to give back to my community. And I was really proud of the work that we did, but also of the spectrum of needs that I learned about, from healthcare, because I worked at the Children's Hospital Foundation, to Rebuilding Together, where I toured people's homes who had leaking roofs and they couldn't afford to fix it. And we did that repair work with volunteers, allowing people to age in place. I worked at Calm Waters, where they do free grief support groups for kids and families going through a loss or trauma. And then at United Way, I saw the broad spectrum of need across our city, and the generosity of people with resources who were willing to meet those needs. And that was all really rewarding. And then my husband and I opened Red Pin Bowling Lounge, which was a totally opposite for-profit situation, but I did run our small business. And we did recruit men and women from the 3 or 4 halfway houses that were within walking distance of our facility. Those folks are required to be on the street looking for a job every day that they're housed there. And so we saw so many applicants, and we ended up, though, after having such a great experience from the very beginning, once we started hiring those folks, that we just would call directly and recruit. So almost all of our back of house staff and our bowling mechanics were folks with a record. And what we found was a willing, talented, reliable workforce who were dedicated to their jobs and who were great teammates. And I truly found joy working alongside them. And that was the hardest part of closing that business, was I wasn't sure where they would go, because even though we were a restaurant, our average employee stayed 2 years or more. So that was something that we were really proud of as well. And then during that time, because of what I was witnessing with my own employees and the barriers to just being a productive citizen that these folks found, they admitted that they had done something wrong. They served the time that was required of them, and they were ready to be productive citizens again. But we put so many barriers in front of them, it was almost impossible. And so I found myself just going to the Capitol. I needed to talk to someone who needed to hear the story, and those lawmakers could make change. And the justice reform movement was really getting started around that time. And we've made some progress there, but we have work to do. And then in the midst of that, my oldest child, my son, started pre-K. That was 2011 at Quail Creek Elementary School. And reams of copy paper were part of his school supply list because the school couldn't afford paper for the entire school year. And that was unacceptable to me. And so my advocacy expanded into public education. And I've been meeting with lawmakers for more than 10 years around the needs of our public school kids. And my children are in high school now. They will never go to an adequately funded Oklahoma public school. And so there is still work to do. And that is part of the reason for my run. But I've also been talking with lawmakers about good economic policy. As a small business owner, we rely on the state to create an environment where businesses and employees can thrive and succeed. So that a strong economy is really important to me too. So it just felt right when this seat was open and the current senator is term limited. It felt like the next right step for me to continue this work and to really get involved in policy and lawmaking. I really believe in working together. I have witnessed wasted opportunities in Oklahoma because we spend too much time fighting on the fringes about culture war issues instead of really coming together.
Right.
And finding solutions to real problems that affect us every day. And that's what I'd really like to do at the state capitol.
Yeah, you're exactly right. We do see a very large dysfunction within our supermajority Republican Party. They're more interested in causing problems than they are causing solutions. We have seen a couple of things that they've done right, so I can't say that everything that they do is wrong.
Right.
But as an unchecked supermajority, we just see this attack constantly on. Like you said, the minority groups, in your advocacy for those people who are coming out of the criminal justice system. Again, there is no plan in place to help get those people back on their feet and help them grow within the community and readjust back into the community. So it's fun to be able to hear you talk about, how you have not just talking about it, but you've actually put a plan in action and actually excelled with that. So let's talk a little bit about, you mentioned that the senator who is currently in that seat in Senate District 47 is term limited. Who is that person?
That is Senator Greg Treat, the pro tem of the state Senate.
Oh, okay. So you are in currently a red district.
Currently, that is right.
Right. We're going to change that.
But the voters have shown that they are purple. They have shown this is a purple district.
Right. And it should be, because we're seeing a lot of changes. Just this week, Tuesday, we had an election down in Alabama that we had a very red seat. Even the Republican Party down there had determined that they were going to win it by 20 some points, and they ended up losing by 25 points.
Yeah, I was gonna say it was the opposite, exactly.
Right. So we're planning on doing the same thing all over Oklahoma, and particularly in a district like Greg Treat's, where Scott and I make another program that we do together is Oklahoma Weekly Live, and we give Senator Treat hell all the time. So
well, Senator Treat and I have disagreed on things over the years, but recently I have really agreed with him. Actually, I've appreciated that he has stood for tribal sovereignty. I think that's been an excellent position he's taken. I appreciated his stand against Governor Stitt on all those crazy special sessions that the governor kept calling. And we got the grocery tax at the state level repealed, and that was a bipartisan effort, and it was the right thing to do.
Sure it is. So do you know who your current opponent is? Do you have?
So there are 4 candidates that have announced for this race, and I am the only Democrat.
Okay.
There's one Democrat, and that is me.
So we've got 4 Republicans who are vying for the Republican. Three.
Yeah.
Okay. And those 3, they have to go through the runoff process, and so you probably won't know who your actual opponent is going to be until sometime in August. Is that a fair statement?
That is absolutely what I expect. I think they will go all the way through the August runoff.
So we did have that conversation, or I did have a bookmark that I wanted to talk a little bit about your opponent, but since we really don't have that narrowed down to a specific
I'll tell you
person.
some things that aren't about my opponent, but that do distinguish me from that group.
Let's do that.
So I am the only Democrat. I'm the only public school parent. in
Okay.
this race. I'm the only small business owner. I'm the only candidate supported by Joy Hoffmeister, which I'm
Excellent.
really proud of. Yep. And I'm the only one who is calling out Ryan Walters and saying he needs to be held accountable. And that's particularly important because he's a resident of this district.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. If you have any other dirt that you want to pull up on that young man, let us know, because that's food for fodder, I guess, or that we use with our other programming. With your advocacy with public education, let's talk a little bit about the current public teachers crisis in Oklahoma and some of the vision that you have for correcting that.
Well, crisis is absolutely the right word. Sometimes we hear teacher shortage, and that's a misnomer. We have plenty of qualified, certified teachers in Oklahoma who simply are choosing to not be in the classroom. I think anecdotally, what I would give your listeners as comparison is that, as I said, I went all the way through Putnam City Schools, kindergarten to senior year, and my sister did as well. She's 4 years younger than I am. And we had the same teachers, with a rare exception for our entire school career. We knew who our PE teacher was from kindergarten to 6th grade. We knew who was going to teach 7th grade math. We had the same junior year English teacher. The list goes on. My children are 2 years apart. They have rarely had the same teacher.
Oh,
And so I think the illustration there is what we've created an environment where a career in education is no longer sustainable. And what happens to kids when you don't have experienced career, lifelong educators working alongside new incoming educators is kids' education starts to falter a little. When you have educators who have been working for 30 years, that experience translates into kids' success. That's not to say that a young or a new teacher doesn't do a great job, but it really makes a difference when you've been teaching for 1 year or 5 years to have a 25-year mentor working alongside you. So those teams of teachers just are almost non-existent today. And it's largely due to the environment that's been created, I think, by state leaders, where it is such a battle to fund our classrooms adequately, to pay our teachers a raise that's respectful of the incredible work that they do. And I think we have parents like me who would be really hesitant if our child said, I want to be an educator. That is a huge red flag. When parents are concerned that their child might pursue that as a career, we know we're doing something wrong. The truth is, public education is foundational to our democracy. Teachers should be celebrated and valued, and we need them desperately to make this country a success. So we've got to change the way we celebrate our teachers, the way we champion our public schools, so that it is a career path that is both desirable and valued.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. I know that it's very close to the beginning of the Constitution for the state of Oklahoma that we will provide a public education that is free and unencumbered from outside groups such as churches. That's
right.
So
we were fairly progressive when we created our Constitution, that was enshrined from the very beginning,
right.
Which is really cool. I mean, that's a really cool legacy that we have in Oklahoma, and we need to honor it today.
And it's unfortunate that we have people like Superintendent Walters who wants to undermine and undercut that Constitution and say that it has no meaning, when in fact it has every meaning, because it was developed by people with great vision for the future in how to bring all people from all backgrounds together in a state of Oklahoma. So it's great to have you.
Kevin, I'm really glad that you mentioned that, because that gives me an opportunity to ask Erin. Kevin, you just said bringing people from all different ways of life into partnership together. And clearly, Erin, you have done a lot of work in partnership building. As a matter of fact, you say on your website that you believe in partnership, not division. And with a very long background in the nonprofit sector, I know from my own experience that a lot of times it's, you really have to scramble, but because you're working toward a common goal with other people, whether that's funders or other staff or volunteers, things really do happen. But what we've seen really very sadly in our state legislature is this opposition to working together. How how would you approach changing that environment? And I know that it's not something that one person can do, and it's not going to happen overnight. But how would you approach coming together with other elected leaders to create strong partnerships that benefit the people of Oklahoma?
Mhm. I think there's a couple of things. First, as an advocate, we created a statewide parents group, the Oklahoma Parent Legislative Advocacy Coalition. It's nonpartisan and represents thousands of parents across the state. And we have worked with legislators from both parties for years on good policy for public schools. And so it begins with authenticity, with building trust with your colleagues. I think language really matters. I'm intentionally not talking about fighting for things we have fought for too long. It is truly time to partner, to work together, and that begins with finding the common goal, because I truly believe that most of the time we do have common ideals. It's just the process of how we achieve those goals that we sometimes get off in the weeds. And if we could get back to respectful dialogue instead of political talking points, I think we could really begin to find bipartisan solutions to things like enough teachers for our classrooms, to real problems that we're facing, access to healthcare, safe roads, the things that allow communities to thrive. And we have to look at data. That's the other part of it. In those conversations, you've got to be data driven. We're stewarding taxpayer dollars. And so you've got to look at what's effective, what's working, what's not working. And it can't be emotional. It's really got to be objective and with facts behind it.
Thank you. Very, very well said.
Thank you.
And it kind of brings us to our next topic, because with the lack of public teachers, with the lack of public education and the diminishment that we've had within public education, we're seeing a crisis that's taking place in other places. We're seeing a crisis where companies are leaving Oklahoma. We just saw, what was it, in Ardmore, a major company that, helped a tire company down there that's leaving. And we have other companies that are not coming here. And part of that has to do with public education, but the other part of it has to do with public access to health and healthcare. And the healthcare crisis in Oklahoma is driving people away, because we're seeing hospitals closing, and our veteran VA hospitals that are being shut down. And those are driving factors for anybody coming to any state, is they want to have a good public education for their children, and they want to have healthcare for themselves and their family. Can you talk to us a little bit about your vision for healthcare and how to curb this crisis in healthcare in Oklahoma?
Absolutely. So I got to work with Joy Hoffmeister in her campaign for governor. And in doing so, I traveled the state with her, and it was a joy, no pun intended. But we met with so many healthcare professionals, hospital directors, mental health care providers, local independent pharmacists who sometimes are the only healthcare in a town. And the struggle is so real. The desire to provide services to Oklahomans is there, but the means to do so often isn't, because the physicians, the nurses, the dentists, there aren't enough. We don't have enough of them here in our state. And we don't have a state that's provided the kind of support that gives all people access to healthcare. Healthcare shouldn't be a privilege just because you have resources, right? And the way that, honestly, that businesses succeed is because they have a healthy workforce who can show up to do their job. And it's also the way families thrive. Families that can't take care of day-to-day health needs are never going to see the kind of economic income rise that they would otherwise, right? So So we have work to do. When we ban healthcare procedures, though, we create an environment where healthcare professionals feel afraid to work. And so it's hard to recruit healthcare folks, physicians and nurses to come here. So we have a lot of work to do in Oklahoma, but our citizens deserve it. And access to healthcare needs to be a top priority of our state.
Absolutely.
Speaking of partnership, if I could, you mentioned a few minutes ago about Speaker Treat and his commitment to working with our tribes, and which has been a very confusing point for a lot of people looking at the governor. It's like, why are you doing this? Speak a bit about your concerns for tribal citizens and how you believe that the state can work effectively with our tribes. And frankly, in a lot of ways, just get out of their way and let them do what they do best.
Well, we could start with healthcare, right? The tribes have opened a medical school. They're investing in healthcare facilities in their communities. And oftentimes those places are open to anyone, not just tribal members. So the tribes of Oklahoma have shown incredible commitment to Oklahoma's success, kind of with or without the state's blessing. I agree. I think Governor Stitt's war with the tribes is foolish. We have incredible resources in Oklahoma, including the diversity that our native tribes bring us. And they have been such incredible public servants, and they've been so committed to the success of our state as a whole. We've got to meet them at the table and have real conversations about where we can combine efforts. And that's efficiency. Like, that makes economic sense. And in a state like Oklahoma, where we aren't talking about a $20 billion state budget, right? We don't have just dollars sitting around to waste. We would be so smart to match dollars that the tribes have to work on roads, which they're doing, to work on healthcare, which they're doing, to work on schools, which they're doing. Let's maximize those efforts. That's just smart business.
I saw this week that that because of the Biden administration's infrastructure work, that there will be areas within tribal nations who have never had clean running water to have that now.
Wow.
So that's exciting to me that the federal government recognizes, hey, we have a need here. We need to address this. How do we as a state start to move to a place where we can say what you just said? It makes economic sense for us to work together.
Yeah, I think a majority of our legislators are there, but we need to send more people to the state capitol who are voicing that commitment as candidates. And then it takes political will. You've got to partner with fellow legislators and you pass laws. I assume the governor would sign it. If he didn't, you would override a veto, right? Where you work with the tribes and you ensure that we have policy on the books that allows us to do so. And if we have problems like that in Oklahoma where there isn't clean drinking water, that is unacceptable. Let's fix that.
On that same subject with our tribal community, would you say that we need to as a state, take away that ability of the governor to wage war against our tribes and actually have a doctrine put in place or a law put in place to actually endorse the sovereignty of our tribal communities?
I would absolutely vote for a law like that if it was presented. There should be no question about the sovereignty of our tribal nations. They are equal governments, and we share a state. And so it just benefits all of us that we recognize that we acknowledge the history that is there, and that we work together for a more hopeful future.
Absolutely. In speaking of a more hopeful future, as a lady, we've got one more topic that I really want to talk about before we get into some other issues.
Okay.
Because we really got to talk about women's rights and women's bodily autonomy. And it's such a hard topic to talk about. I mean, you know, but it's so simple. It's so, you know, people make this into such a complicated issue, but really the issue is kind of simple when it comes down to a woman should have the right, just like the woman has a right to vote. The woman should have the right to have her total rights over bodily autonomy. I want to get your take on that.
Well, there is no doubt that abortion has become so politically and emotionally charged, and these entrenched positions of this make it very black and white, when in fact, truly is a nuanced issue. Every woman who's considering an abortion has a unique situation that is not like anyone else's. And so we have to recognize that gray area. The truth is, abortion is healthcare. And while I can respect that people may have different views around abortion because of their faith or their upbringing or their background or their personal experience, the state owes us, women, men, children, the right to make important healthcare decisions with our doctor with freedom, and to have the best access to care, whatever that might look like. And so I think what we've got to do on this topic, because it is politically charged and because it is emotional, is what I said before. We've got to start with common goals, right? So I think we all have a common goal that we don't want to see unwanted pregnancies continue to rise.
Yeah.
We want to see people have agency over their lives. We want to see men and women who can plan a family when it is right for them and can welcome a child into a home that is stable and loving and prepared. And so when we look at the data, what we find is abortion rates decrease, unwanted pregnancies decrease when we invest in things like sexual education and access to birth control. When we ban abortion, and what we've seen since Roe is overturned, is abortions actually increase.
Right.
So the ban is not serving the purpose that I think the folks who wanted that ban in place to happen. So to me, you go back to that objective data and you talk about what is it that we're trying to achieve. And then you begin to work backwards, like how do we achieve that? And to me, absolutely, women deserve the right to make emotional, difficult decisions with a physician who can advise them, and the physician deserves the right to practice medicine according to their oath, to do the best by their patient. And I'll just finish by saying that I live with two teenagers. This is an issue that's very important to me. My 15-year-old daughter does have fewer rights than I did when I was a 15-year-old girl, and we can do better.
You know, it kind of reminds me, we lost somebody. I'm a Kansas City Chiefs fan.
Okay.
So I celebrated the Kansas City Chiefs Super Bowl victory this last year. But yesterday I learned that one of the cheerleaders, Chrissy Anderson, former cheerleader for Kansas City Chiefs, passed away giving childbirth.
Oh,
And the
that's
child,
sad.
Charlotte Willow Anderson, was born at rest, and the mother died of sepsis. And it's such a tragedy that not only does abortion, and again, this has nothing, her situation peripherally has nothing to do with abortion or a stillborn child. It has everything to do with the politics around abortion and how tragic that has become, that it may have diminished her care. And
Yeah.
we're seeing IVF, in vitro fertilization, down in Alabama, that is now under attack by the Republican Party, and they're trying to play damage control with it. But again, it's taking rights away from families to actually grow their family.
That's right.
And it's so harmful. This whole thing about overturning, with the Dobbs decision, overturning Roe v. Wade, is having such to me, a dire impact on all women. I am a father of two lovely, beautiful women. And one has already gone beyond the point where she will no longer have children, but I've got another one that is any day could have, that situation. And we are looking forward to that with such pride and, excitement for her. But at the same time, we have such trepidation about the laws and how our OBGYNs feel like they're under attack just because they're trying to provide basic health care.
Yeah.
So
maternal mortality rates in Oklahoma continue to decrease. That's unacceptable. And we see far fewer OBGYNs who are willing to practice here because they risk being a criminal for caring for their patients. And like the case of the woman in Kansas City that you were sharing, we've seen women in Oklahoma sit in hospital parking lots waiting to go septic so they could get care under our current law. That's wrong. We have put women in danger, and we cannot allow that to stand.
Right. I totally agree with you on that. We have some housekeeping that we really need to talk about. I'm going to try this, Erin, so bear with me.
Okay.
I'm not real technically savvy on this, but I'm going to try to share the screen because I want to get up to, click on share. Here we go, Erin Brewer. We need to
my
share.
Website there.
Yeah, we need to share a couple of things on here. It's got your video going right there. But on the right-hand side of the screen, I want people to see the Act Blue Express Donate. It's got my information in there. But again, it's so easy to get to. Go to the secure site, go to actblue.com, donate, and it's at the very top, Brewer _ website. And it gives you all the options here to fill in all the information we need for people to come to this site and actually donate and help Erin with her election. This is not an easy process, folks. A candidate takes on an enormous amount of responsibility and financial stress, and we've got to do everything within our power as the voting public and people working and living within and even outside of her district to support Erin in her efforts. And something as simple and small as $5 makes a big impact on the candidate. I'm going to give you an opportunity to encourage people to come and vote for you and donate to you.
Well, it means so much that you're sharing this because the fact is it takes money to reach voters. So there's a couple of things that I would share. First, I'm working really hard. I've already knocked more than 5,000 doors. My goal is 20. So this is a strategic campaign and it is boots on the ground. I am working hard every day. The second thing is that this is the most winnable seat, flippable seat by a Democrat in the state of Oklahoma this cycle. So if folks really want to begin to make changes, we've got to take advantage of these wins where we can. We just step by step, seat by seat, we bring balance back to Oklahoma and we begin to do bipartisan work, which is where we really do the best work, honestly. So a contribution really would make a difference. And my promise to you is that it will be used wisely. And this is a district where it will not go to waste. This is a very winnable race.
I've got one.
If I may, Erin, I'm just going to take that one step further. And although financial contributions are critical and every candidate has to have financial support, in order for your district to knock 20,000 doors, you also need volunteers.
Yes, I do.
And that means people who will walk with you, people who will knock doors, people who will drop literature, people who will drive you from block to block as you knock doors. So I would encourage folks, even if you are unable to make a financial contribution, you certainly can help Erin turn things around, not just in her district, but at the state capitol, just by spending some time with her over these next few months. And if you've already knocked 5,000 doors, that means that the time to volunteer is right now.
Yeah, thank you so much for saying that. It's really easy to sign up to volunteer on the website too. And I do value that. That personal time might be the biggest contribution you could make. And so it is going to take a team of folks who are committed. And so I would value the volunteerism too.
I've got one more thing that I'm going to attempt because on your website, you have such just phenomenal little video snippet. And I want to share that with people who are watching this. And I will say this to any candidate out there who is looking at their websites. You need to come up to this standard. This is the standard that I think all candidates in the Democratic Party should be looking at, is having
Such
this
a huge
video.
compliment. Thank you.
This is exactly what we this is what I look at whenever I'm going some places. I want to see what how the money is being invested, but I want to see how the candidate is investing in themselves. And this is perfect. This is absolutely outstanding. So here we go.
My family means everything to me. With 2 kids, it's a lot of driving. You can relate. Soccer practice, dance rehearsal, and a whole lot of cheering from the sideline. The last few years, I've also done a lot of driving to the state capitol, cheering on our legislators, asking them to do what's right for our kids. Fund our schools, support our families. That's what I've been asking state leaders to do. But now it's clear. Protecting our children from politicians like Ryan Walters is going to take more than supporting from the sidelines. It's time I got in the game. I'm Erin Brewer, a mom, public school champion, small business owner, and candidate for state senate. Learn more at erinbrewersenate.com.
Well, I'm glad you like that video. I have some more in the works.
Well, anything that we can do to help you with that, we more than are wanting to do anything within our power to assist. For something, again, any candidate who is watching this program, the one thing that you have to understand is the people that are going to be voting for you in most cases don't want to actually read your platform. Some of them will read through that platform, but they want to hear it from you. They want to know from you what your platform is. Mm-hmm. And the best way to do that is by going and doing exactly what Erin has done and put that out there so that people can watch it and get involved, because it brings that personal touch, and it actually brings people into the campaign instead of just sitting on the outside reading the words. It actually provides that personal touch. So I'm so excited and so happy that you took the personal investment to make that happen, Erin. That was outstanding on your part.
Thank you. I appreciate that affirmation.
Well, and it goes back to, what we said at the very beginning. You're an outstanding candidate. You're somebody we are excited about. And again, I can't say enough good things about and how we need to support Erin and do everything we can to build your platform up. This is not going to be an easy race.
That's right.
Nobody should ever consider, it's going to be an easy race. We don't have to do anything. We really got to work hard, and we got to work double hard in this district. So everybody who is listening to this, volunteer, donate, invest your time, invest in your neighbors by contacting your neighbors and telling people this is an outstanding candidate. Talk her up. So it goes back to the 4 things, the 4 platforms that I keep telling people is I will lift up and promote Democrats. I want people to lift up and promote Erin. I want people to go out and register Democrats and register Democrats who want to vote for Erin in her district. And then I will go to the polls either on early voting or on absentee voting or on the day of the election, and I will vote for Erin Brewer. And then the final thing is I will elect a Democrat. I will elect Erin Brewer. Those are the 4 pillars of commitment that we need for people, is to go out there and do those 4 things. So thank you so much for being on Coffee with Democrats today. This is an outstanding interview. And I've got one request for you.
Okay.
Would you help us close down this conversation with some closing remarks? Would you please give us your absolute I know everything you do is going to be to the best of your ability, and it's going to be an outstanding. But could you please tell voters why they should vote for you?
Absolutely. Well, I'm Erin Brewer. I am running to be the next state senator in Senate District 47. I'm running because I believe that typical politicians just haven't gotten the job done. I think we can do things differently. I think it's time to work together, to listen to each other, to come together and find solutions to the problems that we all face. We all want excellent schools for our kids. We want safe roads and bridges to drive on. We want first responders who are ready and available. We want access to healthcare, and we want opportunities for great jobs. We can achieve all of those things, but we've got to do it together, and I'm ready to get to work.
Oh man, I couldn't have asked for a better closing remark from anybody. So thank you so much. That was
This has been a delight. Thank you for letting me be on with you.
Well, and
It's
we're
been
going to.
our pleasure, Erin. And one of the things that I hope that our viewers took away today was that you are a person committed to partnership, and you're also very approachable. And between that goal and that personal trait, I think that you've got just a wonderful opportunity here, and the people of your district will be very well served, as will all of us who live in Oklahoma. So thanks again for this morning.
Thank you for that
Absolutely.
kind words. And again, really, truly appreciate the invitation to be here.
Thank you so much. And for everybody, we will be back again next Thursday with another candidate. And we're excited about each Thursday from now until the election, we're going to have a candidate on here from the state of Oklahoma and from other states that are going to be talking about their platforms. And we are, again, we couldn't do this without the support of the candidates and taking the time out of their day. And that goes back to Erin. And Erin, you've had to sacrifice some time out of your day to be with us. We couldn't be more grateful to you.
That was worth every minute. Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, until next time, everybody, thanks for joining us on Coffee with Democrats. Until the next time, please be safe.